Welcome back to another episode of Cactus Quest. I'm your host, Hunter, and in today's episode, which, by the way, is sponsored by the Los Angeles Cactus and Succulent Society, you have a link down in the description to go check out. It's a great place to meet with other like-minded people that are growing plants and collecting them and just into the hobby. So I would highly recommend checking out their website, become a member, and come see me at the next meeting. Today, however, is a very, very special interview. For those of you that are new to my channel, all I do is look at plants, botanists, collectors, growers, and I go into the habitats, looking at cultivation and everything to do with the world of cactus and succulents. And today, I am at a place that is kind of like a mecca for cactus people in some sense, right? So I'm here at Mesa Gardens in Belen, Arizona. Am I saying?
Mexico.
Belen, New Mexico?
Yes,
I was so worried about. Is it Belen?
Yeah,
I'm pronouncing. I wasn't sure how you said it. Pardon me. I'm in Belen, New Mexico, with Aaron at Mesa Gardens. Yeah. So I want to thank you so much for having us out. And yeah, man, so cool to be here. I guess I'll just start it off by saying, I started this channel a couple of years ago, and one of the first videos that I did was a video on how I sow cactus from seed. And as a matter of fact, I used a paper that I had gotten. Oh, I'm so sorry, the guy's name is escaping me, but he'd given me a paper from a botanical garden in Gibraltar on lava gardening. And at the botanical garden in Gibraltar, they grow everything out of 100% black scoria, black lava. Varying degrees of size of granules, but it's all that way. And so I thought, all right, well, cool. I'm going to try sowing seeds the way they do out of pure lava, and I'm going to use hydrogen peroxide. I did this whole thing. And so I used Mesa Garden seed in that video. And since then, I have talked about Mesa Garden seed in every seed sowing video that I've done.
Very cool.
And everybody I know online in the cactus community on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, they're also customers of yours, and you guys are one of the main suppliers and have been for decades and decades. Can you tell me a little bit about how long have you and Tara been running the ship here?
Since 2016. We took over in October 2016, and we had worked for Steve in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we got our degrees and things, and we went off and did our own thing in the big world,
Right.
And I was in a basement doing work. I was feeling like this is not where I need to be, and so I came to visit Steve, and he's like, man, I really need somebody to take over this place. And so we started talking about that and getting it kind of lined up to where we'd take it over. And so that's
cool, man.
Yeah. So yeah, in my early days, I graduated in 1994 from high school.
Okay.
And that's when I started. And I worked here till 2001. I learned all the names, and I started getting that basis. But
did you what did you go to school for, and what were you doing? What kind of work were you doing before you kind of got sick of it?
I went to school for business, and I got a general business degree. Then I started working for a place called John Henry. I was in a basement making manuals for endosurgical tools, and I basically became a technician.
Gotcha.
So I wasn't even really using my degree at all. So.
Interesting. That's we have a similar kind of story. So okay. I worked at I was a consultant, a design consultant. It's basically a glorified title for a sales rep for a major window and door manufacturer. And I enjoyed what I did. I enjoy people. As you can tell, I really like talking to people. And that job, I was able to find enough passion in talking to people to be able to get me through it. But at the end of the day, my heart wasn't in it, and it was just one of those things where I kind of thought, like, if I'm going to spend this much time and this much energy and this much effort, really, and time away from my family, I have to be doing something that I love. And frankly, I'd rather do something that I love that allows me and affords me more time with my family.
Sure.
And then the pandemic hit, and I got laid off, and I suddenly was jobless and able, in some weird way, to be able to focus on this full time.
Right.
And when the job called me to come back, I declined politely and said, I really appreciate that, and I started this thing, and it's working, and I'm gonna run with it. And they wished me well, and they just told me that I got an open door waiting for me. But it was the same thing. I was like, nah, I gotta do what I love,
Absolutely.
So you guys took over when? How long ago?
So 2016. So it's been October 2016. So it's been about 5 years.
And so how many seeds would you say? Do you keep track of any of that kind of stuff? Like, how many seeds do you guys sell a year? Because I would think it'd have to be like in the millions,
Definitely.
It's like millions of seeds, right?
Definitely, yeah. Because we have wholesale orders too.
Okay.
So sometimes it's 10,000 lots, and and lithops 25,000 lots.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, because I see with certain, I just recently collected all the seed. I have 6 Strombo cactus disciformis. 6. So it's not like I have a whole flat of seed producing plants.
Right.
I mean, I didn't take the time to count the seeds, obviously, because they're like
really
grains of sand almost, smaller than that really. But you think, man, if you had a flat of these, you must be producing like tens of thousands of seeds multiple times throughout the year.
Yeah.
And I find that one of the things that I always think about is when you look in, at least so far with the habitats that I've been in, when you're looking at like the amount of seedlings that you see compared to the amount of seeds that the plants produce, there's not a lot of, you don't see a lot of seedlings generally. Some plants are different, some places are different. But generally in desert habitats, desert ecosystems, you don't see a tremendous amount of success with seedlings and seed germination, which is, I think, why businesses like this are super important, because you guys are producing all these seeds and getting them into multiple greenhouses, into the hands of multiple propagators all around the world, which means that, I think to take an honest look at what's going on with the ecosystems around the world, that we are going to lose a lot of these plants.
Sure.
We're losing a lot of them now, and so to have those genetics available, and so that those plants, if they can't be there in the wild for the future generations to enjoy, that at least they could be there in cultivation, so that we could show, I mean, it's kind of a grim reality, but it is the reality, and so I think that's why it's so important for businesses like this to exist, and for people to be growing from seed, which I encourage at every step of it.
Please grow from seed.
So you asked me what some of my favorite genera are. Obviously, that's a question that I can give you a couple that certainly come to mind as favorites, but it becomes a kind of a slippery slope, because you realize you like everything. But what are some of the things you've obviously got at your disposal? A vast 12 greenhouses, isolated by Mexico, the Mesa, all this kind of stuff. So you've got all this stuff. Is there a particular plant genus that you enjoy the most?
I really like Copiapoa.
Yeah.
They're super cool.
Yeah. What's the trickiest one to pollinate here?
Pellicophora.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
I've got some grafted Strobilliformis that are blooming, and they were blooming, I noticed they were going to be blooming when I left, so I didn't get a chance to do it, but I'm sure they'll bloom again. But I got them with the intention of trying to make some seed.
Yeah.
Because you don't find that seed available a lot, and when you do, it's typically very expensive.
Yeah.
And some of the seed, I bought some seed from Italy this past year. It's it was almost $1 a seed. I bought, not even, it was more than $1 a seed. I bought probably 50 seeds, and I think I spent $80.
Did they germinate okay?
Not great. Some of them did. I got, so one of the cults, it's actually an Astrophytum cultivar. Astrophytum Capricorn cultivar Buffalo.
Oh.
And it's got, the spines literally look like buffalo horn, like ram horns. They almost have like that granate. Some of them look kind of spirally, and they're heavily textured, very, very thick dominant spines. Those germinated really well. I bought some Godzilla coral and some Godzilla collie, which are Ariocarpus hybrids for the people that don't know what I'm talking, don't understand the gibberish I'm rambling out. But I think get good germination rates on those, and those were the most expensive, and those were the ones I was really like gunning for. So I'm gonna probably be doing some Paraschiopsis grafts with a couple of seedlings I do have in hopes to be able to try to at some point produce my own seed.
Boost them.
Now, are you shipping seeds internationally as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Have you noticed do you sell more seeds domestically or internationally?
Domestically.
Domestically. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, that turned around for us because Steve was selling to like probably 90% of his stuff to China.
Gotcha.
Overseas to Asian countries.
Okay.
And now with the new website and things, it seems like it's changed that quite a bit.
Well, I know I've got people that I am friends with on Instagram. Shout out to Cactus Dan Man from Chicago. Like he'll literally send me a message and be like, "Hey, Mesa just uploaded Columna alba seed.
Yeah.
Like it's on there now. You better go get it." And I'll do it. I've multiple times he sent me something. And I'm like, "Oh," immediately, because I know if you guys just uploaded it,
it's going to be gone.
It's going to be gone, and hopefully, I mean, whether it's also going to be fresher seed too, which is always good, So the fresher the better. But and so the way you guys have it set up is you do most of the plant pollination,
right?
And she kind of is running more of the back end stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and she'll help me pollinate.
And you guys sell plants as well, I guess, right? So
Sure.
I have always only bought. I've never bought a plant from you guys.
Oh.
Maybe we'll change that while I'm here today.
Sure. Mostly what we're doing with that is we're trying to replenish our stock, our seed stock.
Right.
So we're sowing like 50 seeds, and if all those come up, then we're gonna sell the overs.
Okay.
So we'll hold back like 6 or 7 plants and use those for pollinators, and So
do you find that with having kind of I've moved a couple of times I've moved twice since I've been collecting plants.
Yeah.
And I certainly can see the plants take sometimes a bit to adjust from that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you notice that with your plants generally here that are your plants generally pretty synced up with the way that they bloom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they really are, unless we've moved them. And then it takes them like almost 2 years to get acclimated to their surroundings. And
right.
Then they start to bloom together.
So this is one of the things that I always stress to people, like that come to the pop-ups and buy a plant from me, or whatever the case is, because I'm always very clear about this is where I had it. Mm-hmm. This is how. I had it under shade cloth. This is the type of shade cloth. This is where it was. This is where the area. This is the kind of temperatures and stuff. I always stress to people, you have to keep in mind, in nature, plants never move. If they move in nature, that's probably because they've got knocked over or something terrible has happened, right? Because they don't ever move. Yep. Like for example, if you took a saguaro out of the surrounding area of Tucson and you just uprooted it and then turned it 360 degrees and left it there, it would get scorched the next day because it hasn't built up to that. It's a shock, right? So that's one of the things that I've always found fascinating, and as I've grown more from seed too, I'll take seedlings and I'll say, okay, I got this little seedling pot. I'm going to split it up into bigger pots. And then I'll be like, well, I don't really have room. These are going to go here. These are going to go here. And then you come back and you look and you're like, well, I'll be darned. Those over there seem to be growing much, much better. Yeah. And then it's a kind of a, I don't know. You try to figure out, well, what was it? What is the factor?
What conditions are different?
Because did I forget to water that house as much, or what is the do they like the better shade, or what is it? Because some plants, as you very well know, they don't want to be sitting in that full sun. And the more you learn about the plants in their actual home environment where they really belong or they're from, you see that a lot of these plants, it's kind of almost a stereotype for cactus to be a full sun plant in a lot of ways.
That's true.
Because a lot of them aren't really full sun plants. I mean, you've got mammillarias that grow up in forests under pine needles and all kinds of stuff. So there's it's kind of a misnomer. Sure, a lot of them are extreme xerophiles and grow in some of the driest places ever, but a lot of them don't. And they grow under the shade of nurse plants for the majority of their lives,
Yeah, Coccineus will do that too.
Yeah.
If you've seen Coccineus in nature, you'll see that they grow underneath all kinds of trees.
Echinocereus coccineus, right?
Yeah. Kind of serious Coccineus,
We all have the issue of dealing with, it's like laundry, basically. It just never ends. Whether it's kalanchoes or sedums or whatever it might be. Yep. And I'll bet you if you go to greenhouses in South Africa or in Europe, they've got something there,
Sure.
Who knows what it is. I mean, I used to think Mother of Millions was a pretty plant.
Sure.
I still do occasionally. You look down at it and you go, wow, it's pretty.
Yeah.
And then you know what it does and you're like, yeah, it is pretty, but it's kind of terrible. So you guys are playing catch up with that, and there's no real way around that, right? I mean, you basically just have to
Depot it.
Unpot it,
Yep.
and meticulously pick out.
Yep, absolutely. Every single leaf.
People ask me all the time, how many plants do you have in your collection?
Yes.
I don't know. I know it would be even more of a preposterous. It would be even more of a preposterous question for you guys.
I have no idea.
I mean, the undertaking. You could hire like a team. Like you see those movies, those like old like drug dealer movies. There's always a scene in the movies where there's a bunch of naked people in a warehouse like bagging stuff up, with like hair nets on and stuff. Right. You could have like an operation like that here of people just unpotting. They could wear their clothes, if they wanted to, but they're just unpotting stuff.
Right.
It would take forever.
It would.
Now, what about bugs? What do you guys do there? You mentioned you battle mealies, as does everyone here.
Sure.
What other kind of bugs you got? Spider mites?
Yep. Yeah, red spider mites. Yeah.
With all these plants, and this is obviously not just a collection for you guys, this is your livelihood. And frankly, I don't know, maybe like this is almost like some sort of a Stefan Berger just gave a talk to the LA Club, and he's doing work with a seed bank down in Chile where he's helping to collect the Copiapoa seeds and the Ariosai seeds and all these seeds of all these rare and frankly very threatened plants, where they're keeping them like in a vacuum sealed, like fireproof, flood-proof thing.
Wow.
I mean, it's very important, right? If you start thinking like, grand scheme of things, you got, people talking about trying to get us onto other planets, I mean, what you're doing actually does have kind of more far-reaching implications than simply it being your collection and your livelihood, because it really is something about the flora that we have on this planet and keeping that going,
Yep.
Yeah. I just kind of went down a little rabbit hole there a little bit, But, so you guys what do you do for the bugs? I mean, how do you even contend with all that stuff? Was where we kind of started with this.
Okay, so in the wintertime when I first turn off the heaters, then I can use bug bombs.
Okay. And those you put them in here, they're like aerosol bombs.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll do that.
Okay.
In the springtime. And then I will use some other insecticides and mix it in with our fertilizer and stuff.
Now, are you guys? I'm assuming you're using like a dosatron system of some kind. It's
Siphonex.
Okay,
Just
it's
Siphonex.
similar type of thing, right? Where
it's very similar.
Okay. All right, and so with them being, I mean, I noticed my greenhouses. I have the door, but I never put the door on. I don't really keep it sealed.
Okay.
You guys keep it sealed, and so that's less of an issue for the native insects and the bees and things like that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I noticed even when we first got here, you found a moth in the hardy house up in the front, and I've seen a lot of people see an unwanted bug in the greenhouse and they grab it, kill it, and throw it on the ground and squish
Absolutely.
it. It was a little refreshing, frankly, to see you catch and release. I mean, I'm not kidding. I mean, you don't really see that.
Yeah.
So, well, man, it's been awesome talking. I'm kind of itching. Like, I'm looking around at all these cactus, and I'm can
let's
you
go
give us a tour and show us the stuff?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. All right, let's go, baby.